Well, my friends, welcome back to Spot On with Link Lauren. We have a bunch of hot topics to discuss. It might be Monday, but we are hitting the ground running. We have to talk about First Lady Melania Trump, this letter she sent to Putin to say, you know what, we have to protect our kids. We have to protect the children of this world. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about her potential lawsuit and litigation against Hunter Biden. I hope the First Lady takes him to the cleaners. I want Melania Trump to take Hunter Biden to the cleaners. Derelict Hunter Biden. That's what I want, okay? He has no money. He might have to sell a lot of paintings to pay for the lawsuit. We'll get into that. We have to talk about Sorority Rush. We're going to talk about RushTok, Rush TikTok, all of these videos that have gone viral, especially at SEC schools. So we're going to have to talk about that. Ole Miss, Alabama, all these big schools. I want to talk about Sorority Rush. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I love it. Spoiler, I love it. We're going to, of course, do a royal update. Meghan Markle, she has insects crawling on her food. That's never a good sign. So we have a lot of hot topics to get into. And you might be wondering where the hell I am. As you guys know, I was traveling. And because travel is precarious these days, I ended up stuck in Chicago. So my flight taking off was 5 hours delayed. I was stuck in Chicago. They then sent my bags to Denver. I went to the ticket counter. I took trains and planes and automobiles trying to find a supervisor at Chicago O'Hare Airport, okay, going from terminal to terminal. And I said, like Jennifer Holliday in Dreamgirls, I am telling you I'm not going. I am telling you I'm not going until you get my bags. I don't live in Denver. I don't want my bags being sent to Denver. And lo and behold, I got my bags back. So thankfully I have something to wear to tape this. And the next time you see me, I will be at home. But without further ado, we're going to pay some bills. And then you have to stick around because we have some hot topics. We've all had days when skin feels dull, hydration doesn't stick, and energy is all over the place. No amount of water, skincare, or coffee seems to help. That's when Peak's Radiant Skin Duo came to the rescue, and it's been a game changer ever since. This doctor-recommended duo, trusted by experts like Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Jason Fung, and Dr. Will Cole, supports whole body wellness from the inside out. With over 15,000 five-star reviews, it's clear this duo delivers results. Here's why it works. Sun Goddess Matcha provides steady, calm energy throughout the day. No jitters, packed with L-theanine for focus and EGCG antioxidants. It supports skin clarity and gut health because great skin starts from within. BT Fountain electrolytes hydrate like nothing else. Even with plenty of water, many still feel dehydrated. The difference, clinically proven ceramides lock moisture into the skin at a cellular level, leaving it plump, fresh, and glowing. Purity matters. Peak ensures all ingredients are free from heavy metals, pesticides, and mold. Just clean, science-backed hydration and energy. Say goodbye to fatigue, dry skin, and energy crashes. Ready for healthier hydration. Get 20% off plus a free frother and glass beaker here. peaklife.com/link. Again, that's peaklife.com/link. Now it's time for a topic I've been wanting to discuss for weeks, and that is none other than Sorority Rush. If you've been on social media, if you've been on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, you have seen these videos, okay? You have seen these beautiful videos of these young, gorgeous women dancing and doing routines and showing off their homes and having this camaraderie. Let's show a really quick clip. Make America hot again. I could not be happier. Okay, I know people say it's over the top, it's ridiculous. Other countries are looking at us. They're looking at SEC schools going, what the hell is going on? I love it. Okay, and let me tell you why I love it. Because these young women, more than ever, are trying to find community where they're ideologically aligned, where they're aligned in their faith, their values, and all of their priorities in life. And you know what? If they want to put together some routines and show off their hard work and show off their homes and have pride in themselves, do it. I think it was Megyn Kelly who said they're owning their femininity. I don't know if she said that, but people were calling me saying, Meghan loves Sorority Rush. I said, I love Sorority Rush too. I love it too. Okay, my mom was in a sorority. I have so many friends who are in sororities, all right? A lot of my girlfriends have dealt with this before. I have friends who are moms calling me saying, my daughter's going through this right now, okay? And I will say this also. sorority life, fraternities, Greek life, it's not for everybody. I was obviously not in a fraternity, right? I went to NYU, right? There was a gay fraternity, FAG. I'm just kidding. But no, I was not in a fraternity, of course, but I have so many friends who are in fraternities and sororities, and they loved it. And they used so many of those connections to network and build and find opportunities later in their career. So I couldn't be happier about this. And it's turned into a whole industry. It's turned into this massive industry where some girls are hiring Rush consultants, okay? They're paying these women thousands and thousands of dollars to help them figure out what to wear, what to say, how to present themselves during Rush. And does it seem a little like, okay, a little cuckoo, a little much? Yes, but I love over-the-top festive things, okay? I love a little bit of ridiculousness. Something I talk about a lot on the show is, can we just have fun, okay? Can we just have a little bit of fun? Like when I talk about the White House and how we should just make everything gold, let's do it and have some fun, okay? I just want to have some fun. And so when I see these sorority videos and I see these young women owning who they are, having fun, getting together, I love it. And something that's really not covered a lot is there's a huge philanthropic element of sorority and Greek life now where the girls are expected to be involved with philanthropy. They're supposed to help others. They're supposed to do a lot of community service together. And most of these sororities are. But that's just not something you would see so much publicly. There are also GPA requirements for a lot of these sororities. And so these girls, they have to be academically smart. They have to be well-rounded. It is like the Hunger Games, okay? Getting into one of these sororities, it is like the Hunger Games, but they're in Tory Burch sandals. That's what Rush is like right now, okay? If you're at an SEC school, it's the Hunger Games, but in Tory Burch sandals, and I love it. I freaking love it. If I could be a fly on the wall, if I could go and cover this, and we were actually going to have some of these girls on, but then they got so busy and then they got in scandal and drama, and I said, you know what, we're just going to talk about it ourselves. But I was at the airport yesterday, as you guys know, dealing with my horrific travel, and I had girls calling me, Izzy Darnell, did you see about Izzy Darnell? Did you see the Kylan Darnell or this? I'm like, how do y'all know who these people are? Okay, this is a massive phenomenon. These are girls who are rushing, I believe, in Alabama. I'm like, hello, I'm a 27-year-old gay man with no children. I'm doing my best to understand, but I love it. Okay, I also took dance classes growing up. I want to do a little pop lock and drop it outside the house. Nobody invited me. Where's my invitation? I would actually love to come do some, appearances at these SEC schools. So shout out to all the girls. Shout out to all the women. People can hate on them because everybody's open to have an opinion. I want to hear from you guys. Drop a comment and tell me what you think about sorority rush and this huge phenomenon and these videos you're seeing. I understand the criticisms and people can have criticisms. Of course, I get it. But I also just think they're having fun. They're having a good time. Of course, some of the girls are devastated when they don't make the sorority or they don't get any sorority. And I said to my friend yesterday on the phone, I said, don't you think they should maybe have some type of therapist or counseling for some of these girls? Because I'm hearing that the girls are just on the floor screaming and crying and they didn't get what they wanted and their life is over. And I want those girls to know, okay, if you did not make your top sorority, if you didn't make a sorority at all, you are still beautiful. You are going to go on and have a fabulous life and an incredible career and get everything you want. You're going to have the American dream. Okay, you're going to find a hot husband, you're going to get a good job, you're going to have beautiful kids if that's what you want. And because you did not make the sorority doesn't mean that's all not going to happen. So I love you. I understand it sucks when you think about something every day and you dream on it and you prepare and you get the outfits and it doesn't work out. Okay, hello, I'm in the media business. I miss out on opportunities all the time. This life is full of disappointments. But I want the girls to know who are crying and picking themselves up right now, it's okay. If you didn't make that sorority, it is okay. You're going to find your tribe. And for the girls in the sorority, keep on dancing, okay? I love the dancing videos. I want more dancing videos from the sororities. I want to hear more about these Rush consultants. It's a whole industry, okay? I want to know, though, what choices do you have to make in life to end up a Rush consultant? I feel like a Rush consultant, probably a better job than even being a college counselor, right? Rush consultant's probably more fun because it's like, you need to do your nails like this, you need to delete this Instagram post, you need to put these pants on, you need to carry this bag, no resting bitch face. I've heard from so many girls, because girls have been writing me and DMing me on the low, my anonymous sources at all the SEC schools, they're like, we can't have resting bitch face. We have to do this. We were out in the hot sun for hours. Girls, I'm thinking of you. I'm sending you love. You better pull through. You better pull through for me like the Hunger Games, and you better make it work. And so with that, let's move on. Now, we talked about sorority rush and all these hot young girls dancing and rushing, and they're running around in Tory Burch, and we love you girls. Now it's time to talk about a less glamorous young girl. In fact, I don't even know what her pronouns are. Maybe she's a they, them. She looks like a they, them to me, and that is none other than Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, Ella Imhoff, the supermodel du jour. She fancies herself a model. Like, I don't know what she's modeling. Maybe Birkenstocks. Shout out to all the Birkenstock wearers. But no, I don't know what's going on with Ella Imhoff. She posted this bizarre video. She's not taking her stepmother's loss well. Don't know what's going on at home with Doug Imhoff. But Ella posted this video saying she has climate anxiety. Let's look.
I think everything with the environment is really fucking getting to me. And it is I experience a lot of climate anxiety, like a lot of us do. It's not funny. Besides the small things we can do in pushing for change and fighting and protesting, and it's really hard not to sit in those moments where it just feels so heavy.
I'm sorry, Ella Imhoff. It's hard to sit in those moments where it feels so heavy. It's hard to sit in those. Your parents are wealthy, okay? Your stepmom was vice president of the United States. She was the nominee for a major party. I have something in my eye fighting for my life. Your dad is a wealthy, famous attorney, Ella Imhoff, okay? I don't want to hear all this BS that you're anxious and you're scared while you sit around your mansion or your fabulous apartment in New York knitting or whatever you do and selling scarves. Nobody wants to hear it from you. And all of this nonsense, Kamala Harris tried this on the campaign trail. She said, young people's biggest concern is climate. And it's probably because that little ratty ass raccoon looking stepdaughter was telling her that climate was their biggest issue. No. Clearly, as we saw in November, young people were like, we're worried about inflation. We want to buy homes, home ownership. Our rent is skyrocketing. Now, because of President Trump's policies and his administration and cabinet, you can apply for a loan and to buy a home if you have made rental payments on time, if you've been a good renter. That is huge, okay? As someone who lived in New York City for years and you pay rent and all you think is, I'm just burning this money. I have no equity in this asset, don't own it, burning. That policy, incredible. It's going to help future generations, and it doesn't even get that much coverage. But for Ella Imhoff to sit there, looking the way she looks, saying she has such climate anxiety, she can't go on, and everybody's under attack. And then she probably goes inside where she has like 15 maids and nannies and assistants and helpers, and her stepmom was the vice president of the United States. So Ella Imhoff, screw you, we don't care, but we'll keep covering you because you're just such a ridiculous character. Now, speaking of ridiculous characters, we have to talk about MSNBC. MSNBC has decided, I'm sure they paid gazillions of dollars to consultants. MSNBC probably hired all these consultants to sit around and say, what should we do? MSNBC, if you haven't seen the news, they changed their logo and their name from MSNBC to MS Now. And we put it up on the screen. I'm here to tell you, you can change the name, you can change the logo, but you can't put lipstick on a pig. You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, MSNBC. And MSNBC, you still suck. Okay, everybody on MSNBC, you gaslight the American people. You tried it with Joe Biden. You told us for years Joe Biden was a quick, spry whippersnapper doing cartwheels in private. He had no cognitive decline whatsoever, and Trump was a threat to democracy. Well, guess what? You idiots have egg on your face, and most of you are going to be out of jobs, okay? And so MSNBC changing to MS Now, it looks horrible. And actually, if you look at the logo, it looks like EMS Now, like Emergency Services Now, because this network is under emergency and under attack. I actually think they need to go back to the drawing board and pray to Jesus that they can find some ratings. Actually, they need to find some ratings. None of this is going to help the fact that more people tune in to watch me than tune in to watch MSNBC. And if you want to look at the numbers in the Target demo, we're talking probably 100 times more people are tuning in to watch me in that Target demo of 25 to 54 that y'all want. Nobody's watching MSNBC or MS Now. Okay, MS Now. When I saw it, I thought it was like Miss Now, and I thought I didn't even know they wanted pronouns or genders. I was like, Miss Now? What about they, them now? But also, I think part of the problem with MSNBC is that everybody is ugly. And I know that's really harsh. I'm not supposed to say these things out loud, but that's why you guys tune in, because it's my job to speak the truth. When you look at MSNBC, these are some pretty unfortunate looking people. In fact, I say all the time, MSNBC is so into DEI and diversity, and you can tell because the entire primetime lineup looks transgender. I don't know what they were thinking. And then they fired Joy Reid. We have Joy Reid on the screen and replaced her with Simone Sanders. So they fired one bald, black, woman and replaced her with another bald black woman, I guess hoping the audience wouldn't notice, like maybe the glaucoma, I don't know, maybe they thought the audience wasn't going to notice. And then Rachel Maddow, no one wants to look at her and get the news from her. And she's allegedly making, what, $25-30 million a year, and she does a show or two a week. So this is probably why MSNBC is in the gutter. Stephen Colbert is also going down. But I think what would help MSNBC is if they put some good-looking people on television. This is entertainment, okay? It's entertainment, but it's also the news, and you gotta give people something good to look at, okay? The networks and the shows that are doing well are when people actually look up, look nice, and they dress up to deliver the news to you. But when you go on MSNBC, and it's just this liberal propaganda, this just bizarre liberal propaganda. It's scary. It's spooky. You turn on MSNBC and they're like, the country is coming to an end. A far-right dictator is living in the White House right now. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like President Trump is like doing YMCA, and MSNBC is like, we will not see tomorrow. This is the end. Everybody get your, like, it's really quite creepy. It's really some creepy stuff on MSNBC. So now MSNBC is MS now. You can try to rebrand, you can try to put lipstick on a pig, you can try to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. It's not going to work, MSNBC. And it's probably not going to work because you keep paying these people like $30 million a year and they have no ratings, and it's in the gutter. So let's move on. Are you a yo-yo dieter? You diet, lose weight, but gain it all back plus a few extra pounds. Then later, you lose it and regain it again and again. It's dangerous. Studies show that it can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems. Breaking free of your yo-yo diet pattern is a main reason doctors created Lean. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. The science behind Lean is impressive. It studied natural ingredients target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, it helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. Listen. If you're tired of losing weight and gaining it back, if you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace, Lean was created for you. Let me get you started with the 20% off when you use code LINK20 at takelean.com. That's code LINK20 at takelean.com. Well, it's time for a FLOTUS update. As you guys know, there's nobody who covers the First Lady of the United States more than me. I've seen other influencers and media organizations start to cover her more, which is great. I'm happy. She's been so unfairly maligned for years, but you guys know I cover what she's wearing, from her shoes to her dresses to her clothes to her initiatives to be best to the Take It Down Act. There's nobody who covers the First Lady more than me. And when I saw this news item, I could not have been happier. She sent a letter with her husband, President Trump, when he went to Anchorage, Alaska to meet with Putin. And we have an excerpt from the letter. But if you haven't seen this yet, let me give you the cliff notes on what's going on, okay? So the First Lady, she wrote a letter, and it's called a peace letter to Russian President Vladimir Putin, telling him it is time to protect children and future generations around the globe. Now, President Trump hand-delivered the letter. I don't know, maybe it was in his sport coat, his suit jacket, maybe it was in the briefcase. I don't know, maybe he gave it to Putin when they were riding in the Beast together. Let me read you a little bit of this. Every child shares the same quiet dreams in their heart. Whether born randomly into a nation's rustic countryside or a magnificent city center, they dream of love, possibility, and safety from danger. Now, she is urging Putin to protect children. She does not want to see young women and children die because of the Russia-Ukraine war that's been going on since February of 2022. She wants to protect these future generations around the globe. Let me read you a little bit more. Undeniably, we must strive to paint a dignity-filled world for all, so that every soul may wake to peace, and so that the future itself is perfectly guarded. A simple yet profound concept, Mr. Putin, as I'm sure you agree, is that each generation's descendants begin their lives with a purity and innocence which stands above geography, government, and ideology. I love that she brought that up, okay? As children don't choose to be born. They're here. They don't know where they live. They expect the adults around them to protect them, right? So when they're born in bloodshed and war and terror, I am glad she is speaking up for these children. And the First Lady, Melania Trump, she's been a voice in her husband's ear about this conflict, okay? And we're going to get to that clip in a second, but I want to read you a little bit more. In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You serve humanity itself. Such a bold idea transcends all human division, and you, Mr. Putin, are fit to implement this vision with a stroke of the pen. Today, it is time. Now, First Lady Melania Trump, she's from Slovenia. She is Eastern European. She has really followed this conflict closely, and I'm glad she is speaking up now because she chooses her words very carefully. The First Lady of the United States, she chooses her words carefully and her appearances carefully as well. So when she speaks up, people listen. And I thought this letter was beautiful, but I wasn't shocked by the letter. I think some other journalists and folks in the media might have been shocked that she sent this letter, but I was reminded of this clip from July 14th, okay, about a month ago, where President Trump was speaking about First Lady Melania Trump and how she had expressed some of her disdain for Putin and the war in Ukraine and the bloodshed. We're going to play you that clip right now.
I go home, I tell the First Lady, and I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, look.
So First Lady Melania Trump, while we might not see her all the time, she is a voice in her husband's ear. She will speak up. She did it in the first administration. She will speak up. Like when you see something, say something. First Lady Melania Trump, she's like, look, I'm glad that you spoke to Putin and he's telling you this and he's telling you that and you're going to have some meeting of the minds, but he just blew up another town or another building or another village. So we need to get this resolved. And so Zelensky coming to the White House with the European leaders, let's try to get something done. Okay, I know war is big business, right? A lot of folks don't want to wind down the war machine. But we've been dealing with this war in Ukraine since February of 2022. And when you see some of these, exposés on 60 Minutes, we are paying to keep sweaters and, sweater stores where they sell scarves open in Ukraine while our own small businesses shuttered the last 4 years under Joe Biden. So we're paying to keep small businesses open in Ukraine, but our own businesses suffered the last 4 years. So I'm happy President Trump is meeting with Zelensky and all these European leaders. And I'm happy that the First Lady spoke up as well, because I know in her heart she cares about children. Look at all of her initiatives. Be Best, Take It Down. They're all about protecting children and young people. And it must hurt her heart and weigh heavily on her to see the children suffering over in Ukraine and dying because of decisions that adults are making around them. Now, this is where things get a little more interesting. If you haven't seen this yet, you might be living under a rock. You might not have heard it. First Lady Melania Trump might sue Hunter Biden for $1 billion. Okay, I discussed this on X and on Instagram. I've been posting about it. First Lady Melania Trump, she had her lawyer send a letter to Hunter Biden saying, look, if you don't retract these defamatory statements, we're going to sue you for $1 billion. And what Hunter Biden basically said was he made some derogatory comments about how Epstein must have introduced Melania to Donald Trump back in the day, and this is how they met, and their connections are deep and wide. Buffoonery, malarkey, tomfoolery. This is like when President Trump was running for office the first time in 2015 and 16, and I believe they said First Lady Melania Trump had been married before and had this whole secret life, and she's like, where? Find me the man I was married to. So one thing I would not do is lie on the First Lady's name, okay? First Lady Melania Trump, I would not cross her. She's the one person I would not want to cross, and I would not lie on her name whatsoever. So I'm happy to see her pursuing this litigation against Hunter Biden. He has no money whatsoever, so I don't know what's going to happen with the lawsuit, but sometimes you have to let people know who you are. And I'm glad she sent this letter to Hunter Biden because he's disgusting and he's gross and he's going around, I guess, thinking he's the future of the Democratic Party, lying and lying and lying. And that is why First Lady Melania Trump is pursuing this litigation. And I hope she takes them to the cleaners. But I also understand if they decide, you know what, we've said our piece, let's move on. Because who even wants to deal with Hunter Biden? But in order to pay those legal fees, Hunter Biden's going to have to sell a lot of paintings. Okay, Hunter Biden is going to have to sell a lot of paintings. So we will be back. If there are any updates on this lawsuit, on the litigation, we will be back, of course, to tell you about it. But right now, we got to move on to some other topics. Well, it wouldn't be an episode of Spot On if we did not do a royal roundup to discuss the Duke and Duchess of Montecito. And that is none other than Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Now, Meghan Markle, she's going viral for something you don't want to go viral for. And I want to preface this by saying, Meghan Markle really fashions herself a Martha Stewart. She thinks she is the next Martha Stewart, but she has no personality. And one thing about Martha Stewart is she has street cred and she can actually cook and bake and put together beautiful arrangements and dinner parties. Okay, when you see Meghan Markle's flower arrangements, utter calamity, okay? The woman is selling, dog biscuits and jams and jellies, and she is not a real Martha Stewart, although she would like to be. She would like to be, and she's back with season 2 of her Netflix show soon, but she's going viral right now because she posted a video and there is a bug in the video on her food. Let me read you what's going on, okay? So in a video shared as a story on her Instagram account, as ever official, Meghan could be seen making a cup of tea next to a plate of shortbread cookies with jam and flour sprinkles alongside sprigs of foliage. Okay, let me say this first and foremost. Meghan Markle, she's gonna have to come up with a new shtick than doing the flour sprinkles. If you go to have, tea at Meghan Markle's house, she's putting flowers in. You go take a bath, she's putting flowers in. You go have crumpets and scones, she's putting flowers in. She thinks she is this amazing maven in the kitchen because she is putting flowers in things. I don't want flowers in my food. Okay, if I wanted flowers in my food, I would go get in a time machine and be a hunter and gatherer and go live in the frickin' savannah. Okay, that is what I would do. I'd eat little nuts and berries and flowers. That's not who I am. Okay, I'm not like a moose jumping on trees. Okay, why does she put flower sprinkles on everything? But let's continue. A follower on Instagram noticed what appeared to be a tiny insect crawling around near a flour cookie at the bottom of the plate. The bug could be seen moving around the biscuits for a few seconds before disappearing from view. Meghan, let me just say this, okay? I have this feeling, just my opinion, that their house is crawling with roaches and insects. You know how sometimes you go to a rich person's house? You go to a rich person's house and they're supposed to have money and be fabulous and wealthy and ooh la la, but everything feels a little dirty, right? Like everything's a little dusty. You touch something and your finger comes up black like soot, like Santa gave you coal for Christmas. You go to the bathroom at a rich person's house and it's like the toilet just needed to be flushed or cleaned a little bit, and then you go to wash your hands and the soap is out. That is how I feel Harry and Meghan's house is, right? I feel like if you go to Harry and Meghan's house, everything's a little dirty, right? I just feel like, is she showering every day? Is Meghan Markle showering every day because she walks around in the little jean shorts, the booty shorts, and barefoot, and the hair is kind of wild, and she's just baking and doing flower arrangements? I don't know. I'm really not shocked that they're having insects in the food, right? Are we shocked that there are insects in the food? But I have to say this, if you're a customer for As Ever, be sure to check your packaging because you might have bugs and insects and roaches. It's like an episode of Fear Factor or Survivor. It's like back in the day, they do those challenges where they put you in the cube. They put you in that cube and then they drop a bunch of insects in it. I feel like eating Meghan Markle's food is Survivor. It's like eating crickets. And I know some of y'all love to go to these countries and these countries where you go to markets and you eat little bugs and crickets and things like that. I live in the United States of America, okay? I don't live in Timbuktu. I don't want to eat bugs and crickets, okay? So when you go to have dinner at Meghan Markle's house and she makes you shortbread cookies, it's covered in flour sprinkles and insects. So watch out, okay? Watch out for yourselves. If you're going to have dinner at Meghan Markle's house, there might be bugs and insects. But I want to talk also about real royalty, and that is none other than William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales. They're moving. Okay, speaking of homes and maintaining homes, they are moving. Let me read you a little bit about this move and why they are going to be moving from Adelaide Cottage to Forest Lodge. Did I say that correctly? I hope that I did. So the Wales family, they're going to move later this year. A spokesperson at Kensington Palace told Page 6, the royal couple moved to their current Adelaide Cottage in Berkshire in 2022 to be close to their children's school. I'm not going to say the name of the school because I love George, Charlotte, and Louis, and they should be able to have some semblance of normalcy, people. Windsor has become their home, a royal insider told The Sun. However, over the last few years, while they've lived at Adelaide Cottage, there have been some really difficult times. Of course, Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis, and she made some statements recently. Let me read you a little bit about this. So when she announced in January she was in remission, months after completing chemotherapy, she spoke about how she had to put on a brave face and that she was finding this period really difficult. And I felt like that candor and that authenticity and just letting it all hang out is why people love William and Catherine. They don't feel like they're phony. They don't feel like they're putting on this sheen. For her to say, as the future Queen of England, I feel like I have to put on a brave face and I'm finding it really difficult. I'm having to show up for my kids and take care of my kids and take care of my household and do my royal duties. I couldn't be happier that she was sharing that because that's what people want, especially from this next generation of royals. They want that authenticity. Just tell us, right? Sort of like American politics here. We just want politicians who are real and honest. If you want to drop an F-bomb, if you want to say this, you want to say that, let us know. Okay, if you get caught in a scandal, own it. Nobody's perfect. And so I love that Princess Catherine felt vulnerable enough to share that, look, she's finding it difficult, but let me read you about their move. Moving gives them an opportunity for a fresh start and a new chapter, an opportunity to leave some of the more unhappy memories behind. Unlike Adelaide Cottage. William and Catherine are said to see the move to Forest Lodge as long-term and their forever home. Now, this is where things get interesting. The royal pair are also using their own money to pay for the renovations, an insider says, and they will not have full-time live-in staff. I love this. Let me tell you why I love this. Because everybody says the royals, they get things for free. Everything is free, 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 free. I think the royal family brings a lot to the Commonwealth, brings a lot to the UK. Part of the reason I love going to London, part of the reason I wanted to go study abroad in London in college, and I did, is because of my love for the royal family. It's because I love the institution. I just think there aren't many institutions passed down by generation and generation and generation, and I love the pomp and the circumstance. And so when they say they're paying for things themselves, that's to let the people know, look, we're going to pay for this ourselves. And if you remember, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, there was a lot of discussion about their renovations they were doing to Frogmore Cottage. Did they pay for them themselves? Were they going to? But then that wasn't good enough for them, right? What's interesting about the royals is they have so many properties. I feel like Harry and Meghan could have tried to make a life there a little bit better. But from everybody I talked to, they're happy that they have flown the coop and are living in California, very far away, struggling to be reality stars and selling jams, jellies, and dog biscuits. So I'm happy that Catherine is doing well, happy they're moving into a new home, that they're doing their renovations. It's very exciting. One thing I'm also excited about the royals is to see this next generation grow up of George, Charlotte, and Louis. Of course, they will stumble and make mistakes in the public eye, but we're in an era now where we accept those mistakes so much more, right? We saw the tabloids just shred Princess Diana and shred William and Harry when they were growing up. And so I think we're going to show a little more grace to this next generation growing up in the public eye. Well, my friends, like a broken record, I am back telling you about Masa chips, but I wouldn't be telling you about Masa chips if I did not love them, okay? You guys know by now I push them on my friends. It's like that scene in Mean Girls with Tina Fey and Lindsay Lohan. She's a pusher. You're a pusher. That is me with Masa chips, okay? I've converted all of my friends away from their typical potato chips onto Masa, and let me tell you why. This is because Masa chips are made with just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. That's it. No seed oils, no junk. Masa is what chips should be, so go try them and you will taste the difference. Masa chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts. Ready to give Masa a try? Go to masachips.com/link and use code LINK for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/link and code LINK, L-I-N-K, for 25% off your first order. Now, this next topic is one I don't even want to discuss anymore. I'm actually disgusted that I have to keep talking about this in 2025. The fact that this is a fight. This is still a fight in the United States of America to have common sense, to restore common sense, and to get men out of women's sports is absolutely absurd and gross. And it's why so many other countries are looking at us and laughing. But President Trump, he signed the executive order. One of the most beautiful days, I say it all the time, one of the most beautiful days in the White House early on in the administration, I believe it was February. He had all these young girls come. He signed the executive order saying no men and women's sports. And what keeps happening in California and Gavin Newsom's horrible state that I wish we could sell off. Maybe that's what we could do today. We could actually sell off California, except for the people I like who live there, except for Orange County. But let's sell off the rest of California to the Russians, and then that'll actually be great. But no, in California, they are fighting to keep men and women's sports. So let me read you about this story, and you might remember this character from a few months ago. So a California high school girls volleyball team forfeited a match against a team that is believed to include a biological male athlete. This was on Friday night. Riverside Poly High School in Riverside County, California, announced its forfeit against Jurupa Valley High School in a statement. Here's what the school said. Riverside Poly High School's girls volleyball team will not take the court for tonight's scheduled game against Jurupa High School. The statement said, this is because they have a biological male. So these girls are protesting. These girls have said, you know what? We are going to protest. We are not going to even get on the court and put our lives in danger. As we saw with Peyton McNabb, there are girls out here getting brain damage and permanent injuries because they're forced to compete against men. And what kind of sick man wants to even be on a women's sports team and beat up on young girls, right? And these girls who get up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. every single day, right, and focus on these sports. And we saw this with Riley Gaines and Paula Scanlon and so many others. They get up and they put blood, sweat, and tears into these sports. And a man can come along at the last minute. And take everything they've worked for. This is the left's version of feminism. The left is all about feminism and uplifting women and protecting women. What about the women who have worked so hard and are having grown men come in and take what they worked for at the last minute and then are infiltrating their locker rooms? It's gross. It's disgusting. But the player who is trans on the other team, the biological male, is A.B. Hernandez. So A.B. Hernandez, all right, and we'll put him up on the screen. A.B. Hernandez is the same track and field athlete who was taking medals and scholarships and all of these things allegedly from other girls just a few months ago. Just a few months ago, you had A.B. Hernandez in track and field. I believe it was long jump or high jump or something. Y'all, I don't know these things, okay? Don't. Okay, I'm not Mr. Olympics here. But A.B. Hernandez was the same guy who was taking all of this away from the young girls back then. And so I guess he's now just moved on to another sport. Maybe he has a clone, or he just isn't going to let it up. And I actually think shame on the schools, shame on Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom said a few months ago on Charlie Kirk's podcast, I could see that it's a little unfair. I could see, it's a fairness issue having men and women's sports. You could see, yeah, but you're now back fighting. You're fighting Attorney General Pam Bondi. You're fighting Secretary of Education Linda McMahon to keep men and women's sports. And I just think it's gross. And I question Gavin Newsom as a father and actually asked President Trump about this. If you've followed me on social media, if you watch the show, I asked President Trump at Joint Base Andrews on the tarmac about Gavin Newsom, as a father and a husband, what kind of man with any gumption, any testosterone whatsoever is fighting to have boys on his daughter's sports teams? What kind of man is that? And so I question Gavin Newsom, right? I question his fortitude as a male. I assume he's a male. We don't know. We're not allowed to assume these things anymore. But Gavin Newsom, I question him for fighting to keep men and women's sports. And I think these girls, not just with A.B. Hernandez, but across the country, should continue protesting. These girls, let me come in close. They should not have to get on a court or get on a field and put their lives in danger because some sick man wants to come and compete with them. Why don't we start a league? Why don't we start another league where you guys can go compete with each other? We can do a transgender league. We can do a non-binary league. Do whatever you want. It's the United States of America. Go start your own league. But what you don't have the right to do, and why the federal government signed the executive order, is to come into girls' sports and take what they worked for. I also question the parents, right? If someone like A.B. Hernandez, what type of parent thinks this is okay? This is when the parents are supposed to step in, right? Your kid does not know, okay? Your kid is too young to drive, to vote, to make big decisions, to serve this country, to serve overseas, and you expect your kid to be old enough to know if they want to change their entire gender and go on hormones? What the hell is that? It's gross, it's embarrassing, and it's a total injustice of the medical system. So I do question the parents, I question the schools, I question Gavin Newsom, and I hope that we see more and more young girls protest. They should walk away, they should fight, start fighting back. That is what these young girls are doing, and I love to see these women owning it now, and they understand. They have big folks like Meghan Kelly and loud voices in this movement in their corner. They have President Trump in their corner, right? You couldn't have a more powerful person in your corner. So when these girls are saying, no, we're forfeiting the game, we're not stepping on the court, they have powerful people, the most powerful people on earth in their corner now, so they feel affirmed to not go in there. So shout out to all the young women who are athletes watching this. Shout out to the parents and grandparents who have young athletes. Shout out to all of you. Drop a comment and tell me what you think about this. But we can't have this anymore. In the United States of America, we cannot have men and women's sports. And I hope there is a way to rain down like hell onto California and stop this. But as for you guys, I know I have to end on a tough topic, on a hot button issue, but it's serious. Sometimes we have to get serious and we have some fun, we have some serious notes. And it's just, for me, so many of my friends are women. So many of you who watch me are women. My audience is 85% women, okay? So when I see that these young girls who've worked hard don't even get to compete because they don't want to step on a court and put their lives in danger fighting against a man, or they know, you know what, we're going to lose anyway because you got this guy here competing and their biological differences, I have to say something. But I love you and I'm so grateful that you tuned in, and hopefully the next time you see me, I will be at home, okay? I won't be out of my suitcase traveling. I am not someone who enjoys traveling that much, okay? I am a house cat. And so I'm happy I will be home, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for subscribing and liking and following and sharing the episodes. Especially word of mouth is so helpful to grow the podcast. So thank you. I will see you soon. Bye.